This conference will now be recorded.
The Tuesday, May 9th Airport Advisory Commission meeting is called to order. Lisa, if you do a roll call for us, please.
Vice Chair Espiritu,
He's in Denver.
Sean Powell,
Here.
Matt McDonald,
Here.
John Hitchcock,
Present.
Chair Kunkel.
Here.
We have a quorum.
First thing we'll do is look at the agenda, and I have an adjustment to the agenda, but look that over. And I'll hear a motion to accept the agenda as I'm going to. What we have to do, for some reason, the city attorney has got something more important than being here. And so items 14, 15, and 16, we need to move to the top of the agenda before Jennifer does her report. So that's the adjustment that needs to be made to the agenda. First, second. All those in favor signify so by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. Minutes from the March 7 regular meeting have been presented. Hopefully everybody's looked those over. So the chair would entertain a motion to approve the March 7 minutes. We did not have our meeting in April, so this is the first time for the March minutes. Motion to approve. Commissioner McDonald, motion to approve. Do I hear a second? Second. Commissioner Hitchcock, second. All those in favor of approval of the minutes as presented, signify so by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. So, Mr. Attorney, we would appreciate your discourse on items 14, 15, and 16.
Yes. Mr. Chair, members of the commission, on item 14, I'm happy to report we are the most secure we've ever been. That might be a bit of an overstatement. But what I can say is that the security protocols that are required by TSA are going swimmingly. As you have already seen, probably heard, the RFP is out for full-time security that will be inside and outside of the fence. We have almost finalized a hire that would be an assistant to Don as far as security goes. The new rules and regulations that are with the TSA would like to see put in place from the legal committee tomorrow. The reason they're not going in front of you guys is because they carry criminal penalties, and that's slightly outside of your purview. But I'd be happy to bring for you to discuss anyway. You'll be getting copies.
Thank you.
So once the new policies and procedures are adopted by the council, that will then get folded into a plan that we have to provide to TSA down the line that I'm not at liberty to discuss too much further. Regarding BNSF, so we've been in talks with BNSF, and I've run into a slight hurdle in that there's actually nobody in the administration presently who particularly cares to carry the contract. So usually what happens at the city council is there's a member of the administration or a councilor who would like to see something move forward. Based on its current description, what's presently negotiated, nobody's very happy. So we're dealing with BNSF again to clarify. Now, I will note after discussions with BNSF, there's only one individual entity that would be benefiting from this ITA with the TSA. And since that is the case, I'm not comfortable advising the city that we pay anything. If there were multiple people who are also benefiting from this one particular agreement, it might be something the city would get involved in. But if it's one business entity only is reaping a benefit, they should be taking the liability of the payments, is my legal opinion.
And what we're talking about is maintenance on the rail spur off of the main line.
And only one of the spurs, the other spur, and this is consistent with the other spur, we have a contract with the company. At the end of it, they pay us a fixed amount a year for maintenance of the spur. So if this group that wants to go through BNSF is willing to take over the maintenance of then liability for what they're transporting, I would have no legal objection. But that's an issue between BNSF and this particular grant. And then finally, on the JPA, as you're aware, we're now in a 5-year settlement with TSA. County managers here to speak to it further. It's my legal opinion that this is not the ideal time to move forward with the JPA. First and foremost, because I think TSA and FAA would be very cranky with this. Practically speaking, I don't feel comfortable advising that we enter into an agreement with the county when there's a lot of things in this house that can't cornerstone, particularly security related. Because of the security obligations in the settlement agreement also, the current framework that we have worked out is not abundant clear to me that that's how we would like to move forward. And further discussion on a framework that the county and the city would be happy with is the best first step before we start talking financials. The timing of it simply isn't right because the settlement agreement is not going to get figured out than we anticipate.
Can I expand on that just a tiny bit? So in conversation with the county manager, there are some things that the city can do. We'll work towards that. I think with the small group concept of commissioners and city councilors to develop a framework. Everybody is generally in favor of this JPA, and we can do that over the next 4 to 6 months, give or take. It may be longer than that, because it may take longer than that. We may be, unfortunately, as much as a year out. Now, that can be mitigated if the county would just start writing some checks.
That's
We can
correct.
work around that.
We could, yeah, if the county were to carry its fair share, I think the city would be a lot better.
Yeah, we could work around that.
But, well, no, this doesn't get back to the consent decree, but the budget hasn't been finalized, but the budget, as I understand it, is going to have substantial sums for infrastructure improvements. And we're going to push forward as quickly as possible. I think this Greg was committed to that, to getting as much of the infrastructure side of our TSA settlement in as quickly as possible. So bids are being prepared. That's of course going to be seen in the next couple of months. The personnel side is a 5-year.
Any other questions for Mr. Antema? Comment?
May I ask Mr. Williams, or is the county, do you find this acceptable for this kind of delay?
Yeah, I think that they're acceptable. We actually, speaking for them, cautiously, we actually see that there's a lot of things happening that are improving everyone's lot. And we're glad to see that from a staff on time. So more than happy to wait until such time, but as Mr. Buckle and I have talked about, it's probably a good plan if we all get on the same page and kind of pre-develop the direction we feel like we need to go with JPA so that Tess doesn't have to spend weeks and weeks writing something that we all throw out. So it won't take any time.
It's going to be a copy of it.
Sounds good, Chad.
Yeah, ChatGPT is produced by the JPAs that I have the option for that.
We'll do our. Any other questions or comments for us? All right, thank you. Appreciate you being here. You can leave whenever you need
I got
to.
3 more minutes.
Okay. All right, let's go back to item number 5, Jennifer.
Yes, item number 5 is the ADB presentation of the airfield lighting maintenance. Last fall, they spent a couple of weeks out here evaluating the whole airfield, came up with some a proposal for them to do most of the help us bring the lighting on the airfield up to speed. I understand I wasn't here last month. There were some questions from the committee, so we've asked Mr. Taylor to call in and, is he on? Yes. So any questions that you may have had, he's willing to answer. can talk to you about this program.
And Mr. Taylor is,
Mr. Taylor is with the ADB. Mr. Taylor, are you on?
Hello, everybody. Yes, I'm on. I'm on with Nick Haynes and Byron Rosengarten. We're in the same room here at our headquarters. So yes, I am here to discuss the proposal that we've laid out and the evaluation that we've done prior to this. I don't know if you have all the documents in front of you. There was two documents. One was the assessment and one was the proposal to continue maintenance on the airfield. Go ahead. No, go ahead, Jennifer.
No, well, they received the proposal last month. We just didn't put anything in the packets today. So if you want to kind of explain what you did when you were here for the 2 weeks, what you came up with, and how you're willing to help us.
Okay. First of all, let me see if I can share a screen with you on this. Bear with me just a moment.
Mr.
I think you
Taylor,
might have to give us to share this.
Yeah, I might need permission to share the screen.
we may just have to talk through it.
Okay, that's fine. So we went out there, one of our technicians went out and assessed this for several weeks, and we went through everything that you would possibly go through to identify the issues or the shortfalls so that you pass the 139 inspection going forward. We really took a hard look at the underground situation as well as the above ground situation to include megger levels, signage, age of signage, power. I mean, it was a pretty large document that was produced to this. I will share it with you in an email to the group after this. I wasn't aware that you didn't have this document in front of you. But the long story short is that the Roswell Air Center could use our help getting this airfield up to standards. And it's in pretty rough shape in some areas, to be very candid with you. We are a professional organization and the largest in the industry for both large and small airports as well as DOD. And we would like to service your airport to bring it up to a standard so you don't have potentially imminent failures going down the road. The proposal itself is that we come out twice a week. I'm sorry, twice a month. Back that up. I'm sorry. Once a month for 2 weeks for the first year. And then we back off of it on year 2 and 3, where we will just be on site for 1 week per month to maintain. It's necessary, we feel, based on the assessment, that we spend a little bit more time on the front end because there are quite a few deficiencies in many areas, from power, cable, signage, approach, you name it. There's a lot. Again, I apologize. I didn't realize you were not going to have this in front of you because the document really shows a lot of the pictures and things that show the deficiencies. You know, it comes all the way down to replacement of windsocks. It's the regulators failing. It's spare parts. It's incorrect outputs, wrong steps, monthly IRMS. The megger values that we got off the circuits were quite low, almost non-existent, to be candid with you, and that will power out some units rather quickly. We're basically here to help you and offer you a proposal to get the airfield up and running where you don't have a sudden outage. A lot of the equipment is extremely old and needs to be maintained on a regular basis. And if there's something that needs to be replaced long-term, you know, we'll be glad to send you a scope of work, or, you know, you can make it into a larger project with your engineering firm. But right now it's more of a maintenance setup And we have the expertise to make that go forward.
So, Mr. Taylor, was there
Questions?
anything observed?
I think he heard you.
Mr. Taylor, was there anything good that you observed?
I'm sorry, one more time.
Mr. Taylor, was there
Yes.
anything good that you observed?
A little bit.
Mr. Chair,
So
Mr. Taylor, this is Sean Powell, and I had a question for you. So could you describe what you looked at in terms of the airfield lighting? Are you talking about runway lighting? Are you talking about parking lot lighting or the whole airfield? Could you describe what you looked at when you did your survey?
Yeah, we're talking in the active area, the taxiway and runway area, not anything on the apron or terminal. It's strictly in the active area itself
Thank you.
and the electrical wall.
So the reason for the 2 weeks every month for the first year is to make replacements, needed replacements of lighting, of wiring, to bring the entire air center back up to current standards. Is that the goal here?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Bring it up to standards and fix what we can fix. And if it's a larger project, basically say, hey, this is a larger project that needs to be done, but a lot of simple fixing needs to be done.
And is this primarily just due to lack of attention over the last 10 to 15 years, or?
In my expertise doing this for 12 years, yes. I mean, it's just aged out, and there's not been perhaps the expertise or the attention spent at the time on this particular airfield.
Can you talk to us then, cost to the city to do this?
Yes. Let me get back to that document. Yeah. Yes, the first year was annual of 180,700. Year 2 was 90,350, and year 3 was 9350. Those are annual amounts. If you look at it monthly, it's roughly 15,000, 7,500, and 7,500.
Okay, I didn't get the third year cost.
Third year is the same as the second year. 90,350 annualized, $7,529 a month. That includes our travel, our technician, and everything to be on site for those 2 weeks.
And that amount will repair all the problems that we have out here.
And of course, the report will be generated after each visit to what was fixed, what was found, so that, you know, you're constantly being updated to the situation. Because obviously the goal is to resolve the issues and get us further away so that, you know, you don't need us as much going into year 2 and 3.
And those dollar amounts will repair all the items that need to be repaired.
What extent is it replacement initially? Is what's unclear.
So maybe if I could add something. This is Nick Haynes, everybody. Hi, Jennifer. Long time no talk to. I hope you're doing well. A couple other things that's including in this, and certainly we'll make sure you get this proposal afterwards, but including in that price, like Jim said, is the cost of our factory trained technician to be there. First year, we're proposing for 2 weeks, once a month. But also included in that is the use of our asset management tracking system that we would use and leave with the airport to log issues, how we would track work orders. We also include in that access to our 24/7, 365 service desk helpline, that we would, it will be always available for you if we're not on site. We also offer fast response time for if there is an outage and we're not there. So we have that clearly laid out in the proposal as well. So it's not just, I wanted to paint the picture, it's not just one person on site. You're really getting access to all of our factory trained engineers at any time you would need them.
So again, this is Sean Powell. I got a question. We understand the cost of your contract, 180 for the first year, 90 for year 2 and 3. Does that include or does it not include parts and materials that would have to be replaced or repaired?
No, it does not include parts, and it's the reason for that is it's unknown really what parts we need, right? We did our original assessment. We can tell you that we need some cable. We can tell you that there are some parts needed, but if we look out into, years 1 or year 2, year 3, it's hard to predict what parts you will need from a maintenance perspective. So I think the intention would be to work within the existing spare parts budgets.
So.
Yeah,
so
it's not,
we-
I'm sorry, it's not like it's going to be conduit or heavy construction. It's strictly parts.
But if we sign a contract with ADB to do this, we're signing a contract that we don't know what the additional costs are going to be. Is that correct?
Yes, I would say sort of, because you have the existing, you have an existing spare parts budget now, right? You don't know what those costs are. You typically would allocate, a certain amount for spare parts at the airport already. So we're saying that would still exist. What we're really providing is the expertise to install and maintain the airport.
And we're not doing things without approval. We're not just putting parts in and charging without getting approval.
Right.
If that's a concern.
So one of the things that you had indicated in your report to us was the failures of the regulators. And we experienced that when we had the 80-mile-an-hour winds. We were down to runway 321 and Bravo. Everything else went out.
Yeah, I think that's what kind of kicked this whole thing off, right? And we were able to send somebody off the site.
Regulators, which I'm talking to Armstrong about, and changing one of the FAA projects from bringing in the lighting to rebuilding our vaults. Replacing the vaults, because these are air force vaults.
Is there any sort of training component to the contract for our people, our staff people here?
Yeah, we would certainly recommend that the existing airfield maintenance team join us. And I think they did when we were out there during our 2-week site assessment. I think they learned a lot during that 2-week period. But yes, we would encourage for the team to join us while we were out there. We're certainly willing to provide that sort of training while we're on site.
Yeah, it's not an additional charge. It's an OJT type scenario. If they want to be right there with us, that's perfectly fine. We do that at other airfields.
Additional comments from commissioners or anyone else here? Mr. Taylor, do you have any additional comments?
No, I will send the documents on to Jennifer to forward to all of you so you can see both the assessment and the approval as a proposal as a committee. And we would love to help you with your airfield.
And Jennifer, what kind of time frame are we looking at to conclude this in?
I added it to the budget, see what is approved in budget.
Okay.
Other option would be to use funds for the, we have a kilogram field grant.
Okay.
And we use those funds to do this.
And this contract though obviously has to go through legal onto the city council.
Right.
And that we're looking at June or July, probably July.
Oh, yeah, July, August, I would think.
All right, go ahead.
Do you think your budget for parks will fit his needs, our needs, without knowing?
Well, we need to figure out what we're gonna start. And looking at the assessment, I've got that, so I'll send it out.
Yeah, and we did get some initial indications when we were on site from our site assessment. Jennifer, I think we sent you a number of different quotes for the immediate fixes that we need from a spare parts perspective. So I think you've got that, which is where we would focus on those immediate needs first.
Yes, and some of that stuff we kind of already started trying to implement.
Yeah.
The other thing is we have never had an electrician as long as I've been out here, an airfield electrician. We've always just had electrician on the street and different type of work that is high voltage out here. So we've never had that experience.
So Jennifer, it sounds to me like we need to review the documentation and then discuss again, probably in June
Okay.
at the meeting and hopefully reach some conclusion in the June meeting.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I was just making some notes.
So, we've done this assessment where the ABD is providing this assessment information. I'm guessing that these are safety related issues and items. And so they've identified areas of deficit. So what's the liability if we want to fix them?
The lights go out. We will have a lot of the wiring is not put in to do it. It was just buried in the ground, it's wet.
So there's increased liability.
Well, the gentleman did state that he's upgrading to Part 139 standards. Is the FAA inspecting these items? Are they aware of these deficiencies? Let's say.
While they're out here, they do inspect. There's, all the lights are on and they don't see any issues. They don't see this for anything. Like I said, that one day where we had the wind. I didn't have any lights. Everything was on except for the office, except for 1 and 2. So,
This, again, if we're talking about similar things that Hess was talking to us from a security standpoint, this is just as important as FAA security.
I feel it is. We don't have any lights, we don't have service.
Right.
How old is the system here? Is it original or?
Oh, yes. About 30, 40 years old.
So as
Bulbs haven't been touched.
the DB goes in there, they're dealing with technology that for most of us, we weren't around with. So.
Would you like me to kind of just run down the punch items rather quickly? I won't go into a lot of deep detail, but would you like me to just run down some of the items?
That'd be helpful.
Yes, please.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear. Is that yes?
Yes.
It's 20 years. It's what I mean, so they're gonna, it's more exciting for a contractor to say, well, this is what
We
it
need
costs.
extra on this one. Instead of down. He's thinking.
Start feeling it in the back. Yeah, go downstairs. Yeah, well, you. They're probably gonna be this and those.
Please prompt him again. We're waiting.
Are you getting those, the list?
Mr. Taylor, you there?
I have the list in front of me, yes.
Okay, if you'll go ahead and just give them a rundown of some of the major ones.
Okay, so the airfield signage, there was issues on airfield signage in terms of fading panels. There were some issues on worn signs, excuse me, delamination. There were some obsolete units. A lot of them exceeded the FAA requirements in the AC, where your distances were off in some scenarios as well. That's more of an engineering thing. They were put in where they perhaps shouldn't have been, but I think we've addressed that those are an issue that needs to be a larger project. The other part that we got in here was lighting controls. The control panel itself and the radio controller, they're very old. I mean, it's very old. I wish I could show you the pictures. You'll see how antiquated this material is. The pulpits, the overall condition of the structures. We assessed a lot of these. You've got field circuits that are direct buried cable. You've got old transformers. A lot of this has to do with the backbone of the airport underground, if you will, in the circuits. So that's not something necessarily an FAA inspector is going to get into, but if you don't have proper circuits and good meg readings, as your group will tell you, a lot of this stuff is not going to function properly. So a lot of it is underground on this piece as well. Wind cone assembly, you've had some issues there on the wind cones. Again, back to the airfield lighting circuits. I have every circuit here with the megger. They're very, very low. When they're very low, that means that the regulators and the power equipment has to put out a tremendous amount of power. And if it goes pop in the middle of the night, you could be without a runway or a taxiway. There's serious issues there. There's very old, they have not been worked on, old cap banks, the whole 9 yards, calibration, missing steps. Again, it's a very detailed report. I'm just kind of cursory going over the report, but there's a lot of challenges here.
Any other questions? Okay. Mr. Taylor, we appreciate you taking the time to join us today. Sounds like
I
we'll
appreciate
I'll get those assessments and the cost proposals out to the committee. I do have them.
Okay, I appreciate all the committee's time. If you have further questions, please let us know. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Take care.
everybody.
So Jennifer, just so I understand a little bit better, all of this was prompted due to the high wind events that we had.
No, we brought them in prior to that. We just have a problem keeping lighting up. Issue over here on Alpha, if it get fixed for a year.
So the main way that the Air Center took care of this stuff was hired an ABC Electric.
We didn't hire them. They came in on their own. I talked to the gentleman, he came in and visited with me,
No, okay.
and so they came in.
JNS Electric, whatever.
Whoever.
To take care of this stuff previously on an ad hoc basis. That's what's happened out here for 20 years. Something goes down,
Yeah,
and we
if
kind of
the
try.
electrician could not take care of it, they would hire next year another electrical company to come in.
Okay. Omar, when he was talking, you kind of made facial representation that you had been out there with him.
The electrician John and Lionel were out there.
Okay,
The whole bunch of them here.
so were they learning anything? during
I
this time?
would say he learned a lot from him.
Okay, so these guys were helpful.
Yes.
So they still come to me and ask me, where are we getting them back? He needs some help.
Do most of these controls terminate in the control tower? Because that's where they operate all the lighting, or it's pilot control with transmissions.
You know that answer, I don't.
For the most part, the home runs on each runway, there's 2 vaults out there. The home runs come to from each runway. So those home runs will go to the vaults. Then from there, typically, there is a control that in the tower, which when they're in there, they do have control. And normally when they leave at 10 o'clock, they'll switch it to the auto. And that's when it goes on to the photo cells and the radio controllers.
Like,
Yes, sir.
Jennifer, just based on this conversation, it would amaze me if we've got enough funding into parks to not have to have additional funding above and beyond the annual fees. I mean, it's just what I'm hearing.
No, and I understand, but like I said, we have $1 million in the bill that could be used for this.
So we wouldn't have to, the
We don't grant
airport,
the money, but then we will receive it back.
but the airport wouldn't have to rely on the city to find some money to make this happen.
Out of that $1 million with 180 for their services come out of that.
It could. All of that is eligible for the bill.
I'm trying to find out how much our exterior lighting project cost is the same circuit in the same era, right? It's 98% complete, trying to find out the cost of what it was to do the lighting.
Yeah, because when you start opening up those, just find more obsolete stuff.
And that's what I know. I'm sure
That's what
that's
you're gonna
what's gonna
find here.
happen. Yeah. Wait until.
I mean, you're not good about wiring. It's been very over 70 years. I can't.
Okay, any additional questions or comments reference
I'll
the
send you some stuff.
airfield lighting?
Bedtime reading.
And then Jennifer, if you could send each
I will
of the
do that.
commissioners, that if there's no additional questions, let's look at item number 6, stormwater pollution prevention plan. Omar, you were gonna talk to us about that?
Yeah, so Jenna and I have been working with, got in contact with ARC Environmental. Because there's 3 outfalls out here that we're supposed to see samples from. You fill them out, you fill out the paperwork online, and so we send the samples off and I guess, so I've been in this. So I don't know what's going on for that. So we're trying to get caught up. Standards of the- So that's why we got in contact with ARC, because that was what wastewater. I called Andrew, and Andrew told me, well, this is what we're doing. So I talked to Jen about it, so we contacted them, so we could all be on the same platform that we're all using in the city. That's why we contacted ARC Environmental.
Mark used to take care of it when I was. Anyway, it doesn't sound like they did that down after.
So is this another cost issue?
Yeah, we'll be addressing it in an action item.
Next meeting?
No, this one,
Okay.
yeah. So
So does the reporting go to the EPA?
Yes.
the annual reports have already been done to the EPA. In 2017, another vendor was contracted. They revised our SWIP. And then a couple of the samplings and things have not been consistent. They have happened, annual reports have happened every year, but the sampling and the reporting of the monitoring has not been consistent. So when we discovered this and we realized that ARC was taking care of us before, Omar had experience with ARC in the past through wastewater, and Andrew with wastewater is already very versed with ARC, and there's required training for us to have. None of our staff has been trained. This will provide that training platform for us as well. So I think, is Fidel online? Yes.
Yes, I am.
Those,
We did invite ARC to speak to you and kind of help you understand what we've engaged with them. So if you will entertain them. Alonzo and Fidel, can you address the commission and let them know what it is that we're looking at trying to accomplish here?
Sure. ARC Environmental has been an environmental and engineering consulting firm for over 25 years. I have been with the company for 12 years, and as she said, my name is Fidel Rule. I am the in-house environmental regulatory counsel, and what we have worked with the city of Roswell is help with their environmental compliance with the US EPA stormwater permits, the NPDES program. With that requires the stormwater pollution prevention plan to be drafted and created for the site, quarterly inspections to be conducted along with an annual review, and then analog monitoring and visual assessments of the discharge from your facility. So that's where we would come in and we would conduct the routine facility inspections, assist with the sampling and reporting, and submitting all the reports necessary for the US EPA and through their CDX system. So that's kind of ARC in a nutshell.
Does this fit into the liability that the Air Force should still have when they transfer this facility to Boston?
This is specifically for runoff. So whatever current runoff is happening based on our tenants' activities and ourselves is what we're monitoring.
So this is an EPA requirement to runoff. And what we're having to do, what the city's having to do, is hire another firm to test the runoff, to make sure there's not problems with that, and then report that to the EPA, or we report to the EPA.
They will be reporting to the EPA with us monitoring with them. So Omar, myself, and the rest of the staff will be trained on how to collect a sample and what the requirements are for us to get information to ARC. And ARC will make sure that they're sending us the reminder when it's time, making sure if we get everything to them so that they can get it reported on time and we don't fall behind on any of the reporting.
So third-party requirement that we're paying somebody to help us out with, just to get the info back to the EPA.
Yes, and the other benefit I feel that comes from this is it's not the landlord doing the reporting, it is a third party doing the reporting. So it does give a little bit of leeway between the tenants and us where it's another party.
But the tenant still does, or the landlord still does the sample.
No, I think that there's one person trained in sampling, but ARC would understand if something had been done wrong. So there's two outfalls. And often we don't have a whole lot of sampling, to be truthful, because we don't get a lot of rain.
So it looks like the first year, starting July this year through end of June 24, contract will be $77.25, and then an additional $350 if it rains, and we need to do some samples.
Yes. And that $7,725 includes them reviewing and revising our SWIP to match our current tenants' needs and our needs.
Good afternoon. This is Alonso. So as Ms. Lamfer was mentioning, the current or the existing stormwater pollution prevention plan includes the previous permit. So what we're going to be doing is updating to include the new permit language, and also the documentation submitted to the EPA needs to be updated. So there's been some administrative changes. So that will be part of the first setup cost, and then after that we're just going to be making sure the compliance is kept at the airport. It's a very like we're holding hands with the people at the airport. It's a very interactive, so it's not just like, oh, we're going to be submitting reports. There's also recommendations and improvements that are going to be helping the airport to be in compliance.
So any additional questions or comments to our personnel? Because we're going to have to reach a conclusion on this later in the meeting to send this on to legal. Any additional comments, questions? Hearing none. Thank you. Thank you for your assistance and taking time to visit with us. We appreciate it.
All right. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak with you all.
I do have a question about the previous firm who was hired. How did they get away without following through and submitting reports?
The former administration put the reporting duty on the director of the Air Center. And so the only thing that the other vendor was responsible for was reminding, and then also their original provision of our SWIP.
Thank you.
Okay, any additional comments from staff reference this? We'll take this up as an action item here towards the end. We've got it as an action at the end of the meeting. Okay, if there's no other comments, first of all, Alonso, before you get away,
Omar.
I'm sorry, Omar, before you get away, thank you and your crew for what y'all are doing out here. There's been a marked improvement. I know Jenna's been on your case, because I've been on her case, but there's been a marked improvement in just keeping weeds knocked down and stuff. Now that we've actually, I was gone last week, so I don't know that it really rained here, but people told me that it did. So if in fact that happened, and it's 97 degrees out there, you're going to have those guys busting their tails to keep up with it. But thank you, you guys are doing a good job.
I got a pretty good crew out there.
Well, and if you need some extra help, we've got folks here. That, that's why they come to this meeting, to help you out. All right, appreciate it. Okay, let's go on to item number 7. Jenna, if you'd give us some more information on the automobile hangar.
Sure. I just want to check to see if came in as online. She was going to possibly be here or call in. I gave them the opportunity to be able to present to you. So I did take 2 excerpts out of the packet that I had sent out to you all earlier regarding his proposed idea of garage hangars, or whatever he wants to. So if you'll go to the next slide. This is kind of a parcel of what they do. These are temporary garages that are placed on land that is underutilized at the Air Center, and then they lease the land. That way, if we need that land because a building project comes in, we're able to move these garages to another location and lease another parcel of land. I did give, came in 2 locations that we have that are empty. One is the dirt parking lot across from the New Mexico Department of Transportation. That would be a place where people who wanted to leave their cars here long-term could put them inside, out of the elements and secure. That would be an option for them if that is one route we decided to go. The other is across from, what is the building we tore down over there? 756, which is Transaero's parcel is at the front. At the backside, there's a parking lot remaining there. We would be able to place it there for general aviation pilots or whoever is flying out of the fixed base operator. Sometimes there are passengers that are leaving out of there as well that need to leave their vehicles for long term, and it gives them an opportunity to secure their vehicles there as well. So that is kind of that in a nutshell. I hoped he'd be here to answer questions for you. It doesn't appear he's online. If you have questions, I would be more than happy to take them back to him. But that's kind of what we're looking at. You can show the next slide too, because there's 2. This one looked a little bit more like our air center, so I wanted to kind of give what they look like.
So what the air center would be doing is just providing land for lease for them to put this on. And that would be literally a portable type metal building structure. So they're not putting down concrete slabs or anything else.
That'd be a great idea if we can get 112 done. Foundation there.
So you wouldn't really visualize this though as something that would generally be used by people, by passengers going through this terminal.
Yes, it could be used. If it was close here in proximity, I think it would absolutely be used for that.
Okay. And this is literally at no cost to the city.
None. And using dirt space that we aren't using currently, and they can be moved or relocated when need be.
So if we sign a contract with them, what's the shortest term that we could sign?
I didn't negotiate any terms yet. I just thought we would probably discuss whether it was something we wanted to engage.
Well, the pictures that you'd shown earlier, that's just an aerial, but the previous picture, it's that one. It looks to me like a self-storage facility with a garage door. I'm not convinced that that's a look that we want to have out here. We need to have conversation from the commission members. Anybody's thoughts on it?
Well, I've seen these around in the airports, travels.
Okay.
And with a lot of, where the good of it is if you're, have a house in Ruidosa, you want to put your Range Rover here to fly into Roswell, grab your Range Rover and go. Those types of facilities are very, little tracks, that kind of clientele. Because it gives you a reason to park a vehicle that you know is not going to get nailed on, full of dust or whatever. So I actually think that they're a value added for the airport, whether it's an oil company that wants to put some equipment there. There's a lot of uses. I think it would be. I personally have never used one, but I've seen a lot of them being used.
Okay.
I think there are a number of vehicles that are left. just park out there parking, because there's an inch of dirt on it, so you know they're sitting there waiting for their owner.
Oh, yeah, I know, yeah.
So would they make that investment? Or is that something they're looking?
No, they make the investment, we're strictly doing a land lease.
So
That's a
probably.
Exactly.
Commissioner Powell?
A large
Any comments?
possession, so you've seen it.
Yeah,
Could you get a small GA in there?
no, no. You can, no, no,
Strictly Dan.
yeah, you can put a van, maybe, like a regular sized van or a pickup truck, maybe a dually or something like that. Like 20 feet deep, 10 foot wide.
No comments?
We do have a lot of companies here that have to leave vehicles for other crew that are coming in. So a lot of the parking lots out here get filled up with, so this would also alleviate some of our free parking issue. If it's a company, I'm just going to use, I don't know what the company name is or what they do, but we had one that was here from Carlsbad that that's their crew car. And so they leave it here for the next person that's coming in. That way they would be able to secure their company asset.
And if they have trucks, tools and equipment on it, you'll do that too. There's a lot of sticky fingers around here.
That's a good point, but if it could be somewhere out of the way, so it went right in front of the terminal for guests flying in,
Right.
It'd kind of be unsightly right in front of our terminal.
Sure.
Have you thought of a place to put them?
It was over here, that would be so bad.
If you look where the green overflow parking over to the east of the terminal is right now, I would put it close to that or a little bit further east,
Yeah,
that dirt lot.
That would be a great place.
Yeah. Where it's, at least it's reasonably close. I don't see a downside to it.
And if we're concerned with the aesthetics, that could be something that we work into our requirements.
I think manned, some of them actually have.
Yeah, that one looks like, the one before looked like it was. It looked like that was a
People
couple that owned it, yeah.
So where would be the primary location? You would visualize leasing land. Of the one,
So somewhere in here.
And just remember, whatever we're doing is not permanent. It could be
It could be moved. Yeah.
if somebody else would prefer to invest there, then.
So this one, which is right over here on the chat, it's down. When well, of course, we're gonna have additional parking lots, so that, other than the fact that that's really close for people to walk to, right now, even though it's not paved, a lot of people use that area all the time. Most of it in and out, I think. But
Oh, here we're parking right here?
Yeah.
Well, that's just because all this is.
I know.
And with this here, we won't have people.
And this here is gonna be before the end of the year.
Yeah, hopefully August.
Okay.
And so once this is open, what? That would be a good part.
Well, the chair would entertain a motion to provide some guidance then to staff on what we're gonna
You
do.
can't make an action. It's not an action item,
Okay.
but you can
Well,
let me know how you'd like me to bring it back to you.
she could negotiate and see what they're willing to offer by way of a lease and a rate. It would make it beneficial to us.
What would any members of the commission think on a timeframe for this, as far as lease negotiation timeframe?
Well, probably as soon as one of these new lots, because that's the
Overflow.
preferred overflow.
Yeah, it is. But I guess what I'm asking is there any sense from the commissioner's reference how long we would want these guys to consider putting this up? Because if they're gonna make the investment, the city makes no investment, it would surprise me if they didn't want it here for at least a 5-year period.
They may not be able to recover this investment in 5 years.
Well,
Again, you're gonna find that out
Yeah.
when you negotiate.
Right, and you know, maybe we have two locations. It's just 1 year, you put one over by Aflac.
Exactly, that's probably has more demand.
Yeah, Aflac would. I think both locations would provide a bit of uh, option for people, because there are companies and people who might be flying in and out commercially. And then you have people with their GA aircraft, their jets and everything they have flying.
Well, you know, that brings up another, there is a citizen who had expressed an interest in making an investment for covered parking, put solar panels on. Have the staff followed up with him?
Last we heard, he decided not to do it.
I talked to Toby Bruce. Yeah, that was a little bit of a pie in the sky because Toby didn't have anything to work on. So now he does. Okay, well, I think the direction from the commission staff is that we engage with these folks and see what we can come up with. And the thrust would be likely, if they think it's a good location, we think it's a good location. Look at this location and get something by Aflac. Okay, any other questions or direction that you need Jenna to do that?
no, I appreciate your time.
All right. Current, item number 9, current airfield lighting repairs.
Yes.
Oh, I did, I'm sorry.
So, okay, we've got our passenger boardings. Get my eyes on here. The blue, these are for April. So we have for Dallas, 3,272 passengers. Phoenix route was 37,373. So combination of 4,645 versus, so yeah, we're doing better than last year. Some new slides. I tried to look at them earlier. Okay, next slide. Airport operations, these are for March. We have not received the Aprils as of yet. So operations for this year are up versus last year.
Mostly departures.
They're all the characters. That's the name.
Well, and but, you know, I know that's your takeoff and landing. But, you know, I'm looking at aircraft leaving, and I know there's been quite a bit, there's still quite a bit more planned, so.
I think.
But that's mostly Navy.
This is just operations, yeah, we do. That's,
Okay, here's your aircraft parking. So we are down on parking in March versus last year. And I'm seeing we're going to continue to go downward on this.
Those 3 months are reasonably consistent.
Yes. We have one come in, maybe 2 leave. They don't seem to be coming in quite as often as they used to.
We've got air sale here. Do you see any significant changes from that?
No. I mean, between now and July, we probably got another 5 or so of them returns. So I don't see, we may pick up 3 or 4, so it's going to kind of balance itself out, yeah.
Okay.
When do you change it?
Okay, next slide. Oh, sorry, back it up.
Omar and I did attack our inventory out on the air center. And so we did go out and get every tail number that's out there and match them up to a parking report. We had some that came in, they were on the ramp and they just hadn't made a parking report yet, but we are aware that they are attached to an MRO. And I think we wound up with 4 that didn't have tail numbers on them, so we had to research who those belonged to, but we were able to find who they belonged to, and they were on parking reports. And lastly, we had like 3 that were misallocated. They just wound up dropping off of a report, it was corrected, and we were able to capture that revenue. So we were very pleased with our results from doing that inventory, and we plan on doing that on a quarterly basis.
So what I hear you saying is your inventory shows that the tenant's doing a good job of reporting to you.
Yes.
Okay. Next. Okay, I'm just going to touch on some of these. Some of you wanting to know about revenue. So these are as of March 31st. The airport had revenue of $5,011,163. We've had expenses of $3,594,600 for a net income of $1,416,562. We've been notified now our Phoenix flight will not return until at least January. And master plan, we've met once with the committee, TAP committee. We are waiting for the working papers to come, and then we'll disassemble them and put them in, send them out to everybody so they can read them and make some comments. We get them back to the engineers. This is my FAA AIP grant. It's on the hold bars, surface painted, enhanced markings on taxiways, Golf, Hotel, Mike, Bravo, Foxtrot, Echo, and Delta, I believe. That'll be our next project for 24. FAA has started an ELD project, so they're running new wire to the bases and packets. That'll be like a 4-month project. So, which is going to delay my South Hammerhead. It's on here in this report, but they need to bore underneath that to get to 3. And so I don't see any sense in getting South Hammer fixed. They're going to do some boring. Let's let them get their job done and get out of the way, and then we can repair that. Y'all came in, you may have noticed an exercise being conducted just on the other side of the parking lot for long term. That's the 64th National Guard in conjunction with our local law enforcement. And they're holding 2 hazmat incidents, one today and another on Thursday. And Thursdays will be conducted over at University A&B School, Aviation Maintenance School, with the aircraft. We were hoping to participate in that. However, we need an exercise to satisfy TSA according to our settlement agreement. Needs to be, well, the agreement needs to be done by June 8th. They have given us an extension to August 3rd because we can't play in their game because we need to have some kind of a terrorist threat. And if we throw that in with 64th, they can't play, so they can't get their exercise. So we backed out and got an extension. So we'll be able to sit down at the end of the month. We're going to start our planning meetings with the emergency management and locals that need to participate and come up with a scenario, and we'll get it conducted. This week is our aviation conference in Ruidoso. So we've got 2 people going tomorrow for Airport 101. And then Jenna is going to follow up on Thursday with the other. Yeah, I know. So she'll be attending that. And my last one is still due for that FAA inspection, and so far we're still on for the 23rd.
Okay. Any questions on that update? Anybody else? No. Okay.
Okay, the lighting project, this one's the one that has been out for over a year now. This is Alpha, all the way to King Baldwin, the lights have been, the lighting has been completed, they've been on for probably 3 weeks now. We're waiting for constructors to come in and pave over that, cover up the trench. The constructors, yeah, the only game in town is kind of, I'm gonna have to eventually pull them off the parking lot to get them over there to do one day of paving. But I'm gonna wait and see what their schedule shows, so we can, they know it needs to be done. So we're working together to try to figure out when's the best time to get them over there to cover that trench. Next. This is on the runway taxiway painting. It will be in start next week. So right now we're looking at the 16th, which will be Tuesday for them to come in and paint those lines in that need to be painted. Next one is South Hammer, and I just explained to you, we're going to push that one back a little bit so I can get these guys across and not mess up anything that we've completed. Any questions?
So you probably that's going to take place by July then?
I would think so.
Okay, if there's no questions, Jenna, item number 12.
Okay, first I want to back up because I left somebody that's very key out of the inventory, which is Lisa. So I want to give her her kudos for her work in that as well. She had to create the sheets for us to have all of the tail numbers to go find. But when I said Omar and I neglected to add Lisa in there, and she did a live share of that paperwork.
She looked at you.
Did she look at me? No.
I gave her the evil eye.
No, she didn't. No, she didn't at all.
I was gonna say, in the quarterly, you can figure that out yourself.
Okay, we're a team, make sure we're working together. So we did send the notice to the public out on April 26th. And then I gave you all a copy of what the notice was that went out. Thank you, Armstrong, for providing that for us. And then construction began Monday, May 8th. We did have 10 vehicles that were parked in our area that we didn't have to relocate. We did everything that we could to notify them or get a hold of them through the police department. I learned that if you don't have a phone number tied to your registration, no one's going to call you if your car needs to be moved. So I think I'll make sure I have that. But we did put signs downstairs stating that if you were parked in any of these areas after May 8th, that they had been moved and where they'd been moved to. We had one lady come up today. I can't find my car. We were able to explain to her where it was. No problem. So we're doing everything we can to not make this too tough on the public, but it is going to be a little turbulent, I'm sure, while we're phasing into this. But at least when they see dirt moving and tractors and that, it seems to, they know there's a light at the end of that tunnel. Right? There'll be some hope. So if you'll go to the next slide. Armstrong is here as well. And if you have any questions regarding the progress or how the project is going to run, please ask, and I know that they can assist with any questions you have.
So sequence on the two main parking lots, will they be demoed, put back together at approximately the same time?
Yeah,
What's going to get done?
the sequence or the schedule we're looking at is parking area. So we have this, we're calling this parking lot number 1, this parking lot number 4. So they're demoing both of these simultaneously, and they're going to construct them simultaneously and get those constructed. And once they're built, we'll come back. We're going to close this off for a short period of time, crack seal it and seal coat it and repaint it. So that way, this all look like new, these will be brand new. So
So
that's,
when you say seal coat, are you just talking putting black paint on them?
no, it's a rejuvenator. It goes a little bit into the asphalt, kind of adds oil back in.
For some of that, I don't know how thick it's gonna be, but you've already got some of that overlay that's above the concrete curbing now.
Yeah, it's not going to add any appreciable. It's a liquid. It's a liquid.
Yeah, and it penetrates into the oil is rejuvenating.
So no change. Obviously, we've got islands in there, so no change on anything except just redoing it and restriping.
Correct.
Any questions on the parking lots now?
And just for everybody's, it's going really well. They've only been out there 2 days. We were surprised how much they got accomplished.
Thank goodness we haven't run into any basements.
Yeah.
You're gonna close the whole parking lot front at once, not just one lane do it, another lane do it? It'd be a lot easier. It won't take very much time if we could close it all in one shot.
Maybe a week.
Not even that. Let's say crack seal a day, seal coat pretty quick.
Yeah, ESP.
And yeah, paint it. Yeah. We're a week. I just was curious. That other parking lot would be open. That other parking lot would be open. All the rest of the existing one that you rent. So how much notice would you give for people about? As much as we need, as much as everyone wants. Well, I mean, once we get close to finishing these, we'll have the. Yeah, as a frequent traveler, sometimes I go thinking I'll be gone a day and I end up. So I, and we could like.
Better make sure you're
Start putting
tax
these
year
up there.
registration.
Well, it ain't gonna do me any good if I'm in Timbuktu and you call me to move my car.
Leave the keys in it.
Oh, yeah. Get moved for you.
Will there be any, in the part in front of the terminal there, is there gonna be any grinding down on that stuff? So that we've got some chat to move over on that stuff to the east? Or not really?
No.
It's just
The intent
just a slurry to put down on top of it. Okay.
Because once we tested that asphalt. With the FAA money, they just said, what you have, here's the money you have.
And our intent was, we really didn't want to reconstruct anything there because it's not beneficial to put money into that and reconstruct it when you don't know what might happen.
With the terminal.
Yeah, right. And that goes back to this.
Okay, any other questions on the new parking lots paving? Hearing none. Item number 13, strategic plan. We re-released the RFP on that. The proposals, we had one meeting. There were 2 or 3 people, I guess, that came to that meeting. The proposals are due to be back to the city by May the 23rd. And we intend to have a meeting on the 25th of May to rank the proposals. And I wanted to make sure while we were here, who was willing to serve on that committee. I know Jennifer will be there, I'll be there. Sean, you had indicated that you probably can't be, okay? And I think Mike was willing to serve. Of course, he's in Denver today. So that gives us 3 people to serve on rankings for the strategic plan. Then we just have to figure out how much that's going to cost and go to the city to get that funded, because we don't you don't have any other funding source for that plan. And just to bring you up to speed on that, we haven't had anything for over 10 years. And this is to get us direction. Without a plan, you don't have any direction. So that's what we're working on to try to make this happen. And I don't think we know right now what that cost is going to be. So. Okay, our city attorney has already talked through 14, 15, and 16. So Jennifer, we're down to water line infrastructure updates.
If you'll go to the next slide. Louis sent this to me this morning. He is stating that the project is 90% complete. The completion date is targeted for May 31st, and that the contractor is finishing up the tie-ins at the east water tower next to the old water tower over here, and should be able to do that in 10 days, and then they'll finish testing and water sampling.
And what happened, because this was to be finished by March 31st, is they ended up, missing some plumbing fixtures or something to tie them together?
I had a couple things, and then I had also heard that one of the places that they were digging was it took them a little bit longer to get through.
Any questions in on the completion of this? So hopefully the end of May.
How does tearing down the old water tower fit into this?
The crane was in the way, and they moved it for them to be able to get it done. So that was the only hiccup that they had. The piece of equipment that the contractor is using to remove the crane to remove the tower was vandalized and parts were stolen off of it. So they had to order parts. They ordered parts. The replacement parts caused another issue. So they were either going to have to rent a crane and bring it in from Oklahoma, or continue to troubleshoot trying to get their crane up operational again. So that's been kind of the holdup.
They did rent one.
Yeah, their anticipation is to rent one to get it done.
So, and if you leave your keys in the car, obviously that's a lot better than getting the crane back. You'll just move your car forward. Yeah. Just the
I'll
thought.
put it in the box.
Just the thought. Okay, anything additional on that, Jenna? Okay, but near and dear to our hearts here, item number 18.
All right, so I hope you all noticed that downstairs the wall is completely prepped. The electrical was put in for the vinyl selfie wall to be placed. I anticipate the vinyl being up within the next 2 weeks. And then the additional UFO, which is actually three-dimensional, it's off of the wall a little bit with a light box that allows lights to shine down behind it, will be within the next 3 to 4 weeks. So by the end of the next 30 days, we should have a complete project on this. I'm looking forward to it. My goal for sure was to get it done before the UFO Festival of all of our travelers that will be coming in. But this does provide space downstairs for families and travelers coming into the Air Center to be able to get their token selfie in Roswell with an alien.
That'll be really cool. All the flights will have to come in here. It'll just be amazing.
Yeah.
No one else has got that. We get extra flights in for UFO Festival.
Oh, that's we're
No
getting
passengers.
So Jenna, thank you for taking the ball and running with this. There's been a lot of people involved in making that happen, including the UFO Museum. So I've got grandkids in Pennsylvania, Jenna, that are anxiously awaiting a picture of that.
Awesome.
Because I've told them how big a deal this is. So they better perform.
They will perform.
Okay.
They will perform.
Are you gonna fly out here to get a picture or just gonna send a picture?
Not this year. We're going out there this year. Okay, anything else on terminal signage? Okay, item number 19.
We have one last person. We did add Artesia to the baggage claim area downstairs, and we're just working with Lincoln to get Lincoln added. So that'll be the last community that we'll add to that campaign that's down there. So basically, it's just showcasing all of the supporters of the air service here and our surrounding areas so that we can share the love a little bit. But there is more to do in Roswell. We'd love for them to just stay here, but if we can captivate them for 5 or 6 more days, it's still New Mexico commerce. So we're excited to have that. But that's where we're at with the baggage claim.
So Jenny, you said Lincoln, you mean Lincoln County?
Yes,
right?
yes, yes.
Okay, so who's your contact up there?
Steve, is that his name?
And he seems to be,
Yes, they actually Steve gave us another name, and so I have not contacted that person yet, but I will, and we'll get it up before next month.
okay, all right. And that gives us a total of how many communities / counties do we have on the screen down there?
With them, it'll be 7.
Okay. Does that include anything from MMI?
No, and MMI is engaged me for advertising differently.
Okay. All right. Any questions on that? That's been a good project also. We had Chris and Orange in Artesia. I don't know how many times we had to call, but they performed fine.
Yeah.
And as Jenna said, the goal was to provide for all of the communities / counties that assisted when we got air service, American Airlines service into here. So, okay. ILEA projects, Jenna.
So ILEA is up and operational. We did attend their reception last week, and their graduation is tomorrow. So Jennifer and I will be attending that as well to support the delegates as they wrap up while they're here. The chiller rental has gone well. We had a couple hiccups when it started. I thought, oh boy, but it was shutting itself off pretty consistently. But our facilities director is an HVAC guy, and so he went over and he figured out how to flush a certain part of the system, and it's been working great since then. So we did receive good support from the chiller rental company as well for troubleshooting when it did start to happen. So that is going well. Really, we haven't had too many work tickets coming through from them in the last couple of weeks. So I think that their facility is operational and doing very well.
So Jenna, ballpark for the commission, cash flow wise, just time wise, cash flow wise and time wise, where do we stand with ILEA, the city?
I gave a report on that last month. It hasn't changed much since then, but we're looking at least a 4-year return on investment for that property until we're completely done. So I don't have those numbers quite in front of me, but we've got some time till we'll be up and on the profit side of that.
If I remember right, we were at least 13 months, 12 and a half or 13 months before money started flowing into the coffers instead of just going to pay for stuff that we had to fix.
That's correct. They did give us a year's worth of income in advance. So April to April is paid for. So we won't receive any other funding from that, but we also did bill out an additional $7,000 for their portion of the roof repair that we just put in to hold them for a couple of years until we could put a full new roof on. And then also we were able to bill them for 2 quarters of operation expenses only. So that comes up to about it's $57,000 each quarter that we were able to get for them to help with the expenses that happened from September to April 1.
Okay, any questions from the commission on ILEA? All right, thank goodness for chiller rental places. Item number 21, vacant properties.
So I gave us a list and a square footage of the vacant properties for you to look at, but I've been working hand in hand with Cisco over at the EDC, developing basically a marketing spreadsheet so that when he has people calling in on his end of things, they can start looking at what does the building offer on a vague census, so that then we can get them out to look at the buildings. So really, we have the same buildings. The only additional building that we have showing right now is building 247. Stericycle did terminate their lease with us in March. And so they vacated at the end of March. And so that building is back in our care. It does need to be evaluated. There's some ceilings down in the office spaces from water that came through the structure. There's some vegetation overgrowth that needs to be taken care of as far as trees in the fence line. And then also, I do have a picture, but if you turn all the lights off and take a picture in the dark, you can see outside very well on a lot of the siding. So I know we'll have to do some work or decide that that's not worth repairing, but to get an antenna into there.
So just to update the commission a little bit, and to let the county know also. So it's worked out pretty well that people are coordinating and cooperating here with the EDC, who has the ability and the wingspan to get more information out to the public nationwide on these various buildings. And I want to thank both Jenna and Jennifer. They really are working hand in hand with EDC on a case-by-case basis. And Cisco's helping out with that, just information, but on a case-by-case basis in order to better accommodate potential tenants, which is the goal. That's why those things are up there. Now, we do have some buildings. Let's see, the 1081 is the big office building, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
And so you've got 65,000 plus square feet there. We don't have an idea even of what it would cost to get that building in rentable condition. It's just a huge number. And that would probably be the worst case scenario. Just to update, building 93, the folks that are trying to move into that one need to collect from the city 17,000 plus to get the bathrooms completed in there.
Is that the oldest set?
Yeah. It's the first building as you come in off of. It's the blue building over there. So we think we can get that leased if we get bathrooms, put it back into there. What happened was mold, rip everything out, start over again. And so we've had a contractor go in and look, and it ended about 17.6 was his bid. And so that's something that we should be able to get a tenant in there. And that doesn't take care of everything, but that takes care of immediate needs if they start putting people. And then we would work with the tenant, possibly reducing rent for a certain amount of time. And they would do some of their repairs, keeping us in this is what they were doing. The other one is the former Mystic / AVEX building. And we also had a contractor go in there, look at what he felt was needed. Primary thing there, and Councilman Corn was involved in that. As far as kitchen appliances, and I think that the potential tenant, which is Transero, is entirely happy with the contractor who went out and looked at stuff. And they're not looking to go buy brand new kitchen equipment. There's a place in Lubbock that has used kitchen equipment that's commercial grade. And I think that's what he's looking at to do that And the cost on that, if I remember right, was somewhere between 18 and 20,000.
I think that the contractor went out and the company who didn't have any use available, so there is only new available.
Okay, that's new from what I was told.
Is that 1166?
Yes.
Yeah. So we've got the top two buildings on there. We've got people that are interested right now. And because of problems with the buildings, we likely are going to have to make adjustments to the tenant's rent to allow them to do some of the repairs on their own to get moved into it, just due to lack of or limited funding that's available from the city. So the 18 to 20 cost is probably not accurate on the kitchen.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Any other comments on any of the those vacant buildings, Jenna, that you'd like to make?
I did get everything handed back from the fire department, so 611 is available again at this time. So they did use it this week for their exercise. I will go over tomorrow afternoon and walk the building after the exercise and get all the keys returned to me. But so that is an open building of office space that would be, you know, anybody who's looking, that would be a great building to get rented out. It's good, it's in great condition, and it's a good proximity, but it is a lot of office space.
That particular building, of course, is the one that the Mexico Health Department was in. And I still want to get a number that I can report to the city council meeting on what went. We have foregone on that since it went vacant. The building itself, if you haven't ever been in there, is state quality office space. It's average, is what it is, but it is in good condition. It's in move-in condition right now. Fire department, by the way, the fire department left it in good shape. So thank your compatriots over there. It's not an especially attractive building at all. Part of it's 60 years old brick and block, and the other part is a metal building that's finished out inside for office space. A little bit of storage at the back of it, but it's move-in condition, which is somewhat unique for our properties out here. Move-in condition. And how much square footage is in that building?
Can you go back?
18,784. Okay. All right. Any other questions or comments? Jenna, thank you. Appreciate you keeping up with me.
No problem. All right.
Okay. This is a multicolored sheet that we've got.
So this is just a summary of our leases that we have that are active or in negotiation or part of an approval process. So that will give you the total number. We currently have 96 leases totally that we're managing. 43 of them are commercial aeronautical, and 41 of them are non-aeronautical. I did give a tally of leases that are expired and those that are coming due expired, so you can kind of anticipate in the next couple of Airport Advisory Commission meetings what I'll be bringing to the table. So there should be 3 at the following meeting, 6 following that meeting, 2 in 90 days, and then sometime in that 180-day period, we'll have 11 more coming due. So at least I'm showing you how much work we have coming ahead. So, but they all are viable and good leases. There's 81 that are active. 11 are in negotiations. 3 are still in the approval process, which means either they're being presented or they are, I'm still waiting a signature on these for final execution. We have 1 terminating, and then there are 8 currently that are in holdover status, which means they're expired, and we've gone ahead and put that 5% holdover on the monthly rent. And the 10 vacant buildings that we have are listed. The price per square foot range for our buildings ranges from $0 to $24.19 per square foot. That $24.19 per square foot is a corner office that we have here that we rent for the airline to keep equipment in. So it's basically a very specific locked area. So that's why that's the only one that's really high. Most of our leases fall between $2 and $4 per square foot. And then the land prices have changed. They're $0, and I apologize, I didn't amend the $2.42, but the most I have right now is 48 cents per square foot on land. So that one has changed. The 2 vacancies that we have is Stericycle, so we changed from 99 leases down to 96, and then the two T-Hankers that opened up. So those 2 leases also have left our market and have created 3 vacancies for us.
Are the 8 holdover leases, is that all CAVU?
Yes. 3. Yes.
Okay.
And Jennifer and I will be meeting with CAVU tomorrow. We've already met with them once over the phone. We will be meeting one of the others in person tomorrow.
And so that they actually have 8 leases on 8 different buildings, or?
It's 8 parcels. So it's not necessarily 8 leases. It's just those are the components that are within those parcels. I believe they have 4.
Okay.
But one is not expired and is still functioning, and then we have 3 to work through.
All right. One of the items that on that particular area that Mike brought to my attention, I talked to him over the weekend, is the crunch pad. That's apparently a point of contention. And that's because, according to Mike, CAVU feels that they bought the crunch pad and they bought the business.
There was an assignment of aircraft technical supports lease to them. That lease has expired, and on the expiration of that lease, all improvements to the land become the city's property.
Okay, so we've got to convince CAVU of that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, we sure need to make sure that we keep CAVU around. Okay. All right, any other questions or comments from the commission on our building summary, please report. A lot of information in there. Okay, that completes item number 22. We've got 2 action items. And Jenna, why don't you go ahead and start with item number 1.
All right. So the first item is a lease for Badlands Saints. You can go to the next page. Consider recommending the Badlands Saints to enter into a lease for building 734 located at the Roswell Air Center. This is one of the cookie cutter buildings that are right across from Gate 3, if you're familiar with that, or kind of kitty corner from Building 1000, our original terminal. Badlands Saints is requesting a lease for the building consisting of 2,484 square feet, more or less, for the purpose of holding their club meetings and vehicle maintenance. The lease term is for 1 year, beginning June 1st and then ending May 31st, 2024. The Badlands Saints are actually formerly Old Dog Brotherhood. They just changed their name and have been tenants since 2011. Monty Walker, the president, has accepted the lease agreement via email and even provided his signature on April 21st of 2023. We have increased the rent by current CPI, which is 10.33%, with an annual rent of $3,676.56 due in 12 monthly installments of $306.38, making it $1.48 per square foot. The building does have a bathroom and running water. There is no gas to the building at this time, and they do have electrical. There's no heating components in the building, so it's really just a shell.
So it's a building shell, no heating, no cooling, but has water and bathroom service.
Yes.
And electricity.
Yes.
Any comments or questions of Jenna on this lease? And we'll need to, I'll need to hear a motion to approve that so that we can send it on to legal. Okay, get a motion to approve that, and a second by Commissioner McDonald. Any further discussion on this lease? Any special reason they changed?
I think it changed a while ago, and all of their paperwork is in that name, so I'm legally doing it right on the
Okay.
lease.
If there's no other questions or comments, then all those in favor signify so by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion. Is Mike on there?
Yes, yes.
Wow. Thank you, Mike.
You're welcome.
Motion carries. Okay, next item. Jenna?
Okay, the next item is to consider recommending ARC to enter a 5-year contract to revise the current stormwater pollution prevention plan and provide required staff training and reporting and monitoring of the NPDES permit to the EPA. We talked about this a little bit already, but ARC has been our reporting agent in the past. And in 2017, we swapped over to another vendor and tried to take on some of that responsibility ourselves. It didn't work as well as we thought that was going to work. And so we wanted to go ahead forward with the services being provided again by ARC, and that they will maintain consistency across other city departments. Since they're already being trained certain ways, like Omar used to be with wastewater, he came out here. It would be really nice to have people that are moving within city departments already be trained the same way. So that's another reason we'd like to maintain that standardization. The payment structure is broken down in Exhibit B of your supporting documents. Year 1 is a little bit more expensive just because we have to have the current SWIP reviewed and revised and brought up to date for our current industries that are on the air center. With that being $7,725 without the sampling. And then there'll be an additional $350 for each quarter if the sampling is required. Year 2 through 5 will maintain the same at $3,050 without the sampling, and then $350 for each quarterly sample if that is required.
And the only reason the sampling would be required is when there's moisture.
When there's rain.
Either snow.
It's when they do.
It's when there's
discharge
runoff.
events.
Yeah.
Okay. It has to be a late spring.
Trigger.
Back then. No.
All right, thank you, Mr. Attorney. Yeah, better than ever. Any questions or comments from the? We talked through this, I think. Okay. Moved by Commissioner Powell. Do I hear a second? Second. Second by Commissioner Hitchcock. Any further discussion, comments, questions? All those in favor signify so by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Hey, Mike, did you want to do a vote on that one?
Yes, I agree. Aye.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. We've done pretty well today, not even 2 hours. Thanks, everybody, for being on. And Mike, thanks for being able to take some time out of your busy schedule in Denver to try to get on here with us. Any additional comments and or questions by committee members, commission members, or guests?
Chairman, Commissioners, if I could, I'd like to quickly chat about an email back and forth. We're planning to send, and actually I already have sent a letter to Mr. Roper, who's planning to, well, the idea is it's going to give us $4 million additional dollars to work towards the infrastructure on the southeast side. I extrapolated the Armstrong stuff that was sent in 2020, what that cost would be, and like I said, I'm not qualified to do that, so we approved the city, went back to Armstrong and asked them to take care of that for us. The comment that I would like to make is that of late, this is being referred to as the Southeast Waterline Project. And originally it was infrastructure project for utilities. And your stuff in 2020 had gas, sewer, electric, and water, as well as taxiways and roads, which were removed for the purpose of what we're doing through taxiways and roads. But those first 4 items of utility were on there. And so the question I have is, before I forward anything to Mr. Roper, I've asked the city to clarify if the project scope is still utilities in the southeast corner, or is it a water line project? Because once I get the money for a water line project, that's all we can use it for. So we're kind of having those discussions now. I'm not sure what that means, but we don't know exactly when, if it ever changed to just a water line project. I know it's referred to as that, but I really still believe everyone thinks we need to get gas, sewer, electric, and water. And whatever those costs are, I need to pass them on to Roper so that we can work towards those goals, which means the city has to ask you guys to go because I can't do it. So anyway,
I think the water line, right, absolutely. The water line project, that happened because it was originally $5 million. And then we had to take some of that and spend over here on this tanker that's sitting there. And so it became just a water line because that was all the funding that there was available.
and that just goes to this.
Yes.
But now that we're talking about going all the way down past the corner, just want to be sure that we use the proper terminology, because in the grant world or the begging world, however you guys want to look at it, we need to be very clear on what we're asking for.
So Commissioner Hitchcock, restate your
Well, I
comment.
would just say, why is include all our utilities that can support future commercial.
On fiber optic.
I mean, there's probably not enough money for all of that, but
But certainly the basic needs of someone moving in there could be gas, electric, water, sewer.
Right.
Yes. Well, maybe not. And to extend the gas and electric, what I did is I said, what's 3 times farther? So I tripled your number, but I figure your tie-in's going to be a different place. So those numbers may not change anyway. But I just felt like it needed to be certain that that's the way the city wanted to proceed, that we put that in our application for the additional quarterly that we did. I want to stop short of saying it promised by the state, but the state has promised to give us $4 million for the 3 that we reallocated.
So utilities infrastructure development policy would be a good term. But
That they additionally build the city. We're learning as we go. Start around the process. But moving forward, certainly in the next administration, we would like to. Obviously, because always
savings and economies of scale when you run the trench.
Right.
Those lines that anticipate that. My initial paperwork, I captured everything. I actually had the roads in there, but we decided to probably just leave that alone, just put utilities down there because who knows where the roads are going to be and more on what's developed on there. So we figured that out. Of course, taxiways were part of the previous administration, one of them. So.
And a great comment to quote in the newspaper is that we have city and county right here together, working on a project together to benefit the taxpayers.
City, county, and government.
Right. But just the city and the county doing this is a significant step forward. So thank you guys.
And we're currently working on many other projects which will cover life. So glad that we're working as a community, as, you know, we're all in lockstep working for something good for everybody.
So that's a great comment to be in the article. Thursday morning. Okay. Jennifer and Jenna, any additional information that we need to disseminate to the commission or folks here today?
We should have Cessna in here this week, should be here for 4 weeks. I did speak with Boeing, they're looking at coming in July. Keep you updated on that one.
Okay.
That's all I have.
All right. Anything from any of the commissioners?
For the future,
Yes.
I think it might be wise or beneficial if management out at the Air Center maybe approach that flight to see how they can facilitate maintenance on the field with the loss of some employees and, you know, the recent loss of Rob having to fold his business because FedEx left and he's not able to sustain his operation, which is a tragedy. But at this air center, we don't have the means to handle general aviation maintenance or other needs. Well, yeah, but again, that flight has a lock on all of the facilities. So, you know, like we talked about 2 years ago before the current change, we don't want to be bullies, but try and interact and see if they will engage with you and help solve the problem.
Any additional comments by commission members? Any guests or those that are city employees, county employees, any comments? Gosh, this is a quiet group at the end of this meeting. You must have done a good job. You did a good job. All right, if there are no additional comments, do I hear a motion to conclude the meeting? Motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn, second? Second by Commissioner Powell. All in favor, signify so by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries.
Our
Thank
next
you.
meeting day, say, on the second Tuesday.
Second Tuesday.